morning. Today we are going to see equivalent fractions. The word equivalent means equal, and it refers to the fractions that represent or name the same amount or the same space. For instance, I can have one unit, one whole over here. I try to make three of the same. Imagine that they are exactly the same shape. And this one I could divide into. If I divide it in two, it means that this is one out of two parts, and this other is one of two parts. Now, instead of dividing in two, I could divide in four. So let me divide in two first, and then each half into another two. Now I have four. So each one will be 1/4. If let's say that, let's take this half of the fraction. I'm going to shade it. So I have a half, and I want to find another fraction that is equivalent, same than 1/2. Can I represent it with a different number? Yes, this half is the same as taking two of these tiny guys, 1 and 2. Two of these are the same as half of that. So I could say that 1/2, the fraction 1/2, is equal to two of these, 1 and 2. Is equal to 2/4. See, I just added 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2 out of 4. So the fraction 1/2 is equivalent to the fraction 2/4. In your worksheet, you have some practice that look like these ones. I made over here number 1 and number 5. For number 1, you see that they divided the unit in twos. You half. One half here, the other half, they didn't draw it. And then they divided the unit into 8 equal parts. So each one is 1/8. So you can say that this half, 1/2, is equal to how many of those 8s? 1, let's count, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 out of 8. These 4 are the same part as 1/2. Those are the equivalent, the same fraction. Now, in number 5, they divided, the unit was divided into half here, but this they divided into 6 parts. They put 3 parts here and 3 parts there. So you can say how many 6 parts are in here? 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 6, the fraction 3/6 is equal to the fraction 1/2. They cover the same space. How about when you have a drawing, a shape? Okay, on number 9, you have shaded 3 parts out of 4. So the whole has 4, that goes in my bottom, right? My denominator is how many parts the whole has. And on top goes the ones that I am taking, or is shaded in this case. So 3 out of 4 is this one. And if you notice, this is the same shape, but it's divided into more parts. Now each square here, or each quadrilateral, meaning that has 4 sides, it represents 2 of this. They are the same size, the same amount, but just divided in 2. So let's see here how many of these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This was divided into 8 parts. And the ones that are shaded are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. the fraction 3/4 is the same as the fraction 6/8 because they both represent the same amount. That is what equivalent fractions are. That they are the same. They are equal. They are the same fraction. So these two fractions are equal. Now for number 12, you have a word problem. It said that Miles ran half a mile before lunch. Can we express that fraction in a different way? In a different way? You can. Let's see if we can make a drawing over here. So let's say that the mile is this unit. Now Miles ran half, so I'm going to cut it in two, and each one of these is half. What other fraction can I make that will represent the same amount? Let me just draw it over here, the same mile. But this time, instead of dividing it into twos, let's divide it into 4. Since she, I hope it's a she, Miles might be a he. She ran half a mile. And the same amount for this half will be 2 of these smaller ones. Right? It's the same amount. They are the same shape. So what's the fraction for this? Since I divided the whole into 4s, it means that each one of these is 4. 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. So 1.5 needs to be equal to 2 of the 4th, to 2/4. This will be the equivalent, the same fraction. And 2/4 is option number D in your worksheet. So the equivalent of 1.5 is 2/4. And for number 14, you have this shape, and I believe that you have colored the first 2 rectangles. And they ask you, what is an equivalent fraction for the shaded part? First, let's find what is this fraction. Okay, the whole was divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the whole is divided into 6, and 2 of those are shaded. So this fraction is 2/6. Option D is 2/6. Is that an equivalent fraction? No, that is actually the fraction that is shaded. We need to find one that is equivalent, that is the same as this. So we had to divide into different way. If you notice, we could have divided that, since it's taking 2 spaces here, we can say, okay, this is 1. This same shape could be divided into 1, 2, and 3. So instead of dividing into 6, I can say I could have divided into 3 parts. Right? Each one of these is 1/3. So my original fraction was this. 2 out of 6 is the same as 1 out of 3. And that would be my equivalent fraction, and that is option number A. So you had to look at the shape and see what other fraction is equal to the one that I have. In your worksheet, you are also going to have one problem that is going to ask you to take a look at what is the relationship. How do you see that the numerator, the top, changes or the denominator changes? And I hope that you find out what is happening there. We will continue this next class. Have a good day.